Hello there, and welcome to Real Talk with ASM and Anna. Hello, Anna.
Hey, my love.
Thanks for being here as always. We have a big show tonight. Normally, live show discussion topics or anything you feel is newsworthy about racism, anti-racism, bigotry, inequality, and corruption in America. And we have a ton of today's show. Given the most recent Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade, we are going to dedicate our entire show to this topic specifically, very specifically, a subset of the topic, not just anything. The show is meant to always be an opportunity for viewers to speak their mind and to serve as an educational tool in cultural competency, with a focus on learning the truth about systemic racism in America. And so that's kind of a lot. If you're watching, let us know you're here. Say hello. I'm going to put up a quick, if you ever want to get a hold of me, send me breaking news. I will be so happy. Or just a message. You can send it there. And I'm going to rip through my quick messages and we'll go from here. I am also a host to a Facebook page, a YouTube channel, Patreon, Vimeo, Instagram, and Twitter, and probably other things that I can't quite remember right now. And if you want to support me to educate white folks, please join my communities and share. And I'm so lucky, I just wanted to say, to work with the beautiful, lovely, intelligent Miss Anastassia. That would be you.
Hey, my love. Hey, everybody out there. It's a joy to talk to you about these utterly depressing things. And I mean, I look forward to it. I look forward to it because, again, you're my white woman translator, you're my white people, translator, or whatever the case may be. And, I think with the both of us, you get unhonored opinions for us along with facts. So I love it.
Thank you. We do keep it real. That is our whole thing. We gotta be open about this stuff to drop your ego and just say what you got to say and work it out, because something's got to change big time. My sad little my YouTube channel is approximately 101 away subscribers. So if you'd like to be the one to break us over the edge, I would be so thrilled. I'm opening a number of new YouTube channels over this summer. One will be videos that I do that have done well, and one will be a corporate education channel, which I'm very excited about. My first organizational workshops are going to be on microaggressions. It's going to be a 3-part series in taking people through what they can do. And it's all about work and making the environment equitable and great for everyone, not just some. And one of my channels is going to be Thoughts of the Day. It'll be all under 2 minutes. So I'm kind of doing a start over, and I hope everyone supports me. For tonight's topic, we are exclusively discussing the impact of the Supreme Court of the United States of America overturning Roe versus Wade, and how this opens the door to turning other laws impacting Black Americans. We all heard Thomas loud and clear. I'm going to start with an emotional rant.
Boo, tomato. Yeah. I'm not sorry.
Yeah, I know. It's scary. Dave, hello. Thanks for being here. We're going to start with an emotional rant. Then Anna's going to give her input, and we'll take your comments. Next, we're going to talk about the other cases very briefly and make sure we're all on the same page with that. Then Anna's going to give her own personal take, as well as shed some light on the overall impact to Black people. And then, if we have time, we're going to talk about what's the deal with Clarence Thomas leaving out Love versus Virginia pertaining to interracial marriage. And by the way, it's kind of crazy because we're all the same race anyway. So I mean, don't even. It's technically not really. I mean, I don't know. Are you marrying an alien? Are you marrying someone from another planet, maybe? And if you are, then I guess interracial marriage, we're the same race. So anyway, don't get me started. So I'm going to start with a quick rant. I'm calling this rant, what exactly is a constitutional crisis if this isn't one of them? Each three branches of government refuse to uphold the oath to the Constitution. Let's talk about the executive branch. Trump has still not conceded the election, and instead, he's perpetuating this big lie, threatening to primary anyone who goes against his will. According to Cassidy Hutchinson's testimony at this emergency January 6th congressional hearing, Trump knowingly took part in the coup and against the United States of America, and he wanted to be in on it. And at this point, I'm guessing he will not be held accountable, nor will any of his high-level betters be held accountable. This means that the presidency, for all practical purposes, is above the law. What about, so there's one branch. What about Congress? Congress, by way of the Senate, he continues to follow in the footsteps of Aryan regime, circumventing the spirit of the Constitution at every turn, even though they don't really have to because Trump's not the president. Sorry, just saying. A large number of Congress people outright refuse to testify at the January 6th hearings and are not being held in contempt. Yet we continue to vote them back in. There's Congress. What about the Supreme Court? Well, of course, this is my opinion. The Supreme Court, judiciary, or whatever, as far as I can tell, has gone rogue, blindly overturning laws that will, with the goal of forcing their religious, theocratic agenda on us, instead of actually interpreting the freaking Constitution. If this isn't the twilight of our democracy, then I don't know what is. What about our current president? Biden's telling us all we really have to do is just everyone race on out there and vote during the midterms, and we'll get rid of GOP politicians at the state levels. Well, that's lovely, and that's a nice thing. But hello, you're the freaking president, dude. Okay, for many states, it's too late. They've already established GOP leadership and already have this Secretary of State people ready to be in charge of these elections, and these people believe the big lie. In Woodward and Bernstein's interview on CNN last night with Wolf Blitzer, I don't know if you guys saw that, it was strongly suggested that Trump's involvement in the January 6th insurrection marks what Woodward called Trump's political obituary. And I got to say, I would humbly like to say that I'm going to take this concept a few steps further by saying it's representative of our nation's obituary. Like the last, nail in the coffin, we do not have a functioning federal government that works for the good of the people. All that, like for the people, of the people, by the people, all that stuff. Well, as we know, other laws are being challenged based on the SCOTUS abortion ruling, according to Clarence Thomas. He said it all. So things are getting kind of ugly with regard to these human rights that most of us wrongly assume were set in stone. I believe we are past the point of no return regarding this great experiment that we fondly call our democratic republic. So I'm going to close by asking the same question I did at the beginning. How is this not a constitutional crisis? By definition. But the end. Thank you for listening. And I'm going to ask Miss Anastassia.
Ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am.
That was my rant.
So I think you and I are friends. I think everybody in the audience, everybody in the audience is friends and family.
We're all friends.
Of course. But this is the thing. We have to stop playing this game and trying to say that we thought all of this was settled. We thought all it was settled when Emancipation Proclamation. What happened? We thought everything was settled with the 40 acres and a mule. We thought all of these things were settled before us. So at the end of the day, when it comes to people, because that's the difference between the white community and us, the hyphenated people. We have liberties, and you too, ma'am, you have freedoms. Okay, there's a difference. Mm-hmm. We have liberties because somebody took them away and then gave them back to us. Mm-hmm. Kind of like Summer Walker. I don't know. I know you don't know pop culture, but she was there and she made a point of saying that she was messing with this guy called London on the Track, and she was like, all of y'all got mad at me, so I gave him back. That's the same thing that happened. That
we gave you your
right. We gave that to you. Well, who took them away? That's the first thing. Number two, like I told you before, we did our production. Hey, Sheila, like I told you in our production meeting, The fact of the matter is the Constitution was never written with Black people or women or poor people in mind. So we keep with this BS. Oh my God, they're taking a right. You were never supposed to have rights in the beginning. And what poor people keep failing to see, or they're ignoring, or they have cognitive dissonance, that the Constitution was not written for you either. Okay? When those people were those founding fathers, enslavers, child molesters, rapists, when they were doing things, they did it for the benefit of themselves. So why do you think that they're going to do anything for you? Third thing about it, white women, we've been telling y'all for hundreds of years. Now that is affecting, and let's be clear, there's a whole bunch of white women that are waiting to adopt babies, not Black babies. Let's be real about that. They're not trying to adopt no Black babies. And if they are, it's as an accessory, like you have a Birkin bag, or some
I knew a few of those. It's not good for the child.
You know what I'm talking about? Some red bottoms, some yellow bottoms. You know what I'm talking about.
I met white folks who adopt a horrible situation. They don't.
Or so they can be racist. I can say this because I have a Black kid. You know what I'm saying? So we know that there's people like that. The other thing about it is, when we're talking about misogyny, a lot of these men, I was watching something on TikTok, and they were saying, the person was saying, a lot of what's going to happen is men are just going to kill the women that are pregnant. So this is not just one thing. They're just going to unalive more women because they don't want to pay child support. Because the way I look at it, I'm waiting for when they put a law on reckless penises. When is that happening? When is the reckless penises that's going around, having kids like franchises like Nick Cannon and Future and all of these, Herschel Walker, all of these people that have these reckless penises that nobody's talking about. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. The other thing about it is, when we're talking about this Roe v. Wade, like you said, Clarence Thomas brought up our LGBTQ plus brothers and sisters. He also brought up married people being able to have contraception. What are you talking about, sir? You understand what I'm saying? And did you know that Clarence Thomas has a son? He was married to a Black woman. His son's name is Jamal. I didn't know that.
I know that.
He has a son named Jamal. I was thinking maybe Tristan or Chad, but his son's name is Jamal. But that's the way I feel about it, that if you think they're going to stop at one, you already had, what was his name? John Cornyn from Texas say, let's now do Plessy versus Ferguson.
Oh, absolutely.
Brown versus the Board of Education. We already know what that's about. The guy from Indiana, I forget what his name is. He said, he said this in March though. He said, when are we doing Loving versus Virginia?
He feels strongly that the states need to be in charge of that. What he's trying to say is, I'd like to overturn that and take us back 50 years. That's nothing. Take us back a couple hundred. I mean, this is
the thing. What they're saying is the same BS that a lot of these white people, it's states' rights to do what? All they're doing is trying to codify what the Confederates started. The South is not going to rise again, but what it is, the South is now where we live at now.
Right. And they're going to take it. I was talking to a very, very intelligent friend of mine who says they're going to take it to fetus personhood. They're going to have fetus personhood, probably. And once there's fetus personhood, that means you're one cell. You're one cell, whatever, or right. One cell has more rights than you do.
Right. And that's the thing. That's the whole thing about it is, now women are going to be host bodies. And the way I look at it is, we already know why they're doing this. is because they're so afraid that they're going to be the minority. And like
can't
you
imagine
said,
this country being anything but a white. It's our little fantasy, like Garrick was saying, right? It's our fantasy.
yeah. And that's the thing. But like you said last week when we were talking about, why are you afraid of being a minority? What are you afraid of? I thought you fed us. Remember?
Me.
We wasn't. Go ahead. White lady in the back.
We're afraid. Me. Thank you. We're afraid that you guys are gonna treat us the way we've treated you.
How is that, white lady in the back? How did you treat people that look like me?
Not well. In the aggregate, no, not well. No, terribly. We're afraid that we're going to get the same treatment that we've been doling out for hundreds of years, and that's some scary shit.
Right.
Great point. Yeah, this is like they say Pandora's box. This is more like an explosion of. There's just so much. I mean, dang. So,
but this is the thing with Pandora's box. This is the thing with Pandora's box. At the Pandora's box was hope. I don't know if you remember that myth, but at the bottom of all of the trash, that came out, pestilence, all of these things, that hope was at the bottom of it. There is no hope. And I'm gonna be real with you. I'm not a nihilist, and I'm not an accelerist either. I'm just not stupid.
You're kind of like a realist, maybe.
I'm a realist. I'm looking at it. You got to look at things in a vacuum. When white people get mad, what happens? White people get guns and they go to a school and shoot people. White people get mad and they shoot up a whole what is what is the football game that they have at the end of the year? I think in January or February. The Super Bowl.
Super Bowl?
I'm going to go shoot up a Super Bowl party because I'm mad because that woman won't let me beat on her no more. I'm going to go shoot up a grocery store. I'm going to shoot up a movie theater. I'm going to go shoot up a yoga studio because these women don't want to have sex with me because I own their bodies. And that's what this is about. This is not.
It's about control and ownership of women's bodies and whatnot.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, like Jane Elliott, and you know, you sent me a video today that had a gentleman on it saying that 26 out of the 50 states have zero population growth in white people, and as Jane Elliott puts it, we're terrified.
It's the birth dearth. You're talking about Dr. Umar Johnson. Dr. Umar Johnson. He's a hotep in certain cases. He's a hotep. I'll tell you what a hotep is later. But he's a hotep. But Dr. Umar Johnson be kicking the knowledge. And when the fact of the matter is, it's called, I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but it's called Sankofa. Sankofa is an African word, and it's a bird. You've probably seen the symbol before. And with Sankofa, it's a bird with its feet forward, but its neck turning around back this way. And with Sankofa, what it means is that your feet are planted on the ground. Your feet are going forward, but you still know what's in the past, right? Mm-hmm. The fact of the matter is, if you look at everything from the past, it's all the same things. It's just different people, and they're doing it different ways. It's just like the Southern strategy. He told y'all, well, we can't just call them the N-word anymore. Right. We can't just say it. We got to call them urban, and we got to say this, and we got to say that, and we got to say welfare queen.
We're covert. We're very covert.
Right. And poverty is attached to Black people. Drugs are attached to Black people. How did that get like that? Because it worked.
Well, yeah.
So, yeah.
Propaganda. I mean, Russia's got nothing on to do, but I mean, we got our propaganda, you know, as a little kid, you're thinking, wow, learning about Russian propaganda. When do we learn? Actually, my little daughter was learning about Russian propaganda and our propaganda. And I was like, it's like amazing. She was actually learning about American propaganda. And I was very pleased because we're under some sort of, you know, illusion that, oh, that's them. We like to other everybody. That's us.
You know when the propaganda is gonna stick? When white people are the minority. Watch. Then America is gonna be the mass shootings. We've had 288 mass shootings, right? How many mass shootings have happened in Africa, on the continent of Africa? It's not 288, I can tell you that.
Well, we definitely, we have some, America has some very, very special qualities. I say special in quotes, qualities that we are part of our culture, and they need to not be part of our culture, and they're part of white culture. And you know, the thing I always like to say, because again, I speak to white folks. I no offense, of course, but I don't. What do I have to tell Black people and brown people and indigenous people? I don't live this. Okay. I could read about it and talk about it. And if you learn something from what I say, that's lovely and great. And I'm happy. But I speak to white folks because that's my responsibility. Okay. And
I support that message. Talk to white people.
thank you. Yeah. Because, you know, here's the thing. We did this. And we don't have a Black person problem in America, woman in America. And I don't mean that rudely. I mean it more factually and just to be real, because that's what we do here. We're realists. We say what, you know, kind of the truth as we see it. And I got to say, Willow, welcome. We love to twist and turn everything around. It's like we projection. We're very good with projection. You know, we blame the wrong people for our problems. Black people are the victims of our systemic racism and abolitionists, but you see, not enough, not even close. And we have a white culture person problem here, and we've had it for quite some time. And I like to turn the narrative around. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just trying to be real. So think of what I said in my rant, Anastassia, my little mini rant. Our three branches are not following the Constitution.
Well, okay, this is the thing. We don't talk about religion, but let's talk about the Bible, right? Just on the surface, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many Bibles do we have worldwide, right?
How many versions?
How many versions, right? It's a lot, trust me. In America, how many denominations of Christianity do we have?
Oh my gosh, lots.
Okay.
We're the
how many different churches do we have?
Too many to count. These interpretations.
Right. Okay. So you expect a people that are separated on what God says? You think that they're gonna be together on what this thing said? I don't. Come on now. And so another thing I was thinking about, and it was a TikToker. I forget what his name is, but basically he was pretending he was Jesus, and he made a poignant, yeah. At least he was the right color, and he said, "I gave you free will. I gave you free will. So I gave that woman free will to do what she wanted to do with her body. I didn't tell you to take that away from her. You decided to do that, right? Your free will is what? Your free will, and this is the thing that kills me about that. Whenever you say, well, God or Jesus let this happen, well, he gave you free will. Why does that only work when it comes to that? Well, God gave me free will. If I believe that, God gave me free will, that this clump of cells that's in my body that cannot survive outside of my body, that I don't want to do that. I don't want this xenomorph in my body anymore. But that's what I think about. And it's not a rant. The fact of the matter is, we've never had a functioning government. Anything that we do, because we're not in France, it's not we. Anything that the dominant society does is directly to spite the black community, the black populace. Why are you putting the wall up? Why are you doing it with this abortion stuff? Why are you limiting?
It all does seem to come back to systemic racism and our
comes
white
back
supremacy. Yeah.
Say that again.
White supremacy and systemic racism. All these huge issues all seem to just come.
Why don't I want to?
Right.
What now? This is the thing. Now I wasn't born yet, but I read when Ronald Reagan was the governor of California, and the Black Panthers came in there. Oh, they so wanted gun control. Why they don't want gun control now?
Right. I mean, I see that meme going around. If every black person decided to go buy a gun, we'd have the best gun control.
But it's the truth. Yeah. But it's the truth, and it's a double-edged sword, because just like Dr. Neely Fuller Jr. says, white supremacy is always going to be on both sides of the argument. Okay, you want us to allow you to have abortion? Where are we going to put the abortion clinics at? In the black neighborhoods? Why? Because we don't want an overabundance of black people. Martin Sanger said it. She said, black people are weeds. Margaret Sanger said it. Black people are weeds. But she also was talking about the new white people, the Polish people, the Irish people, the Scottish people. Because at that time, they wasn't white either. What I'm saying to you about this is that this country is going to hell in a handbasket. And everything, just like Sealy said, everything you plan for me is already going to be done to you. And all this little nasty stuff. I know you never seen The Color Purple with Oprah Winfrey and Whoopi Goldberg, but my black sisters and brothers, they know exactly what I'm talking about, and they know exactly what scene I'm talking about.
Right. I get the gist of it, but yeah, I don't watch movies. I don't watch TV. Yeah. I'm the worst.
But everything that this white populace is doing, especially those white women that are helping these men, trust and believe. And somebody said something about Amy Jo comes and she done got pregnant by Tyrone. The fact of the matter is Roe v. Wade was initiated off of that lie that she was essayed by a gang of black men.
Right. The original person who started the case originally lied, is what Anastassia was saying.
She lied about that.
Lied, and of course blamed some rape on black men, because that's what we do.
Right.
It's pretty sick shit.
And that's why when it comes to cases like that, this is why Loving versus Virginia is going to come up, because we're going to make it illegal for you to have one of those multiracial and all these biracial kids that you love.
That's the whole gist of
that's what's going to happen.
Brown versus Board of Education of Topeka, Kansas, is keep us separate, because not as much probably initially for school purposes, but because once we get together, boys and girls do what boys and girls do, and we cannot have people that we cannot label. We have to know who you are, so we know who to be, oppressive to. And I mean, it's all about that. I mean, our culture's based on white supremacy. We just got to get through our heads, And
Dave Farley said something. Can you read that?
Let me see. The anti-choice movement wasn't racist. Why is it that very few black pastors were involved in the movement? I always made that observation. I'm not really following.
So the thing about it, she's going to allow everybody to call in. But what I will say about the initial thing with Margaret Sanger and Planned Parenthood, it's a known fact, they put it in black neighborhoods, and they had black pastors and nurses and all of these people to capitulate to make black people do these things. Now, if I'm reading what you said, if the anti-choice,
I just don't understand his comment. I don't understand what.
I don't understand what you're saying. Are you saying that there should be more black pastors assisting, or because I just want to talk about that point, because what I'm gonna say about certain things. is that in a Black community, we don't talk about abortions like that. That's not something, we don't really even talk about giving our kids up for adoption. It happens, but usually that doesn't happen.
Here's a clarification here. Well, I meant to say that it was traditionally white evangelical pastors and white priests. And he's saying being against, I'm not sure where are you saying that those are the ones who originally were anti-abortion and pro-life no matter what? Is that what you're saying? Because right now the Supreme Court they would like to have a society based on theology, and they would like to have like a dictatorship, if you will, based on their idea of the rules of God, the Christian far right. And so a theocracy, I guess I'll say it, a theocracy. So that's kind of what they're going for, and it's been quite obvious. But you got to clarify the ones who are involved in the political. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. Do you want to speak to that or not really?
Well, he said anti-choice, Talonda. He said anti-choice. Yeah.
I was confused about
I think he's saying that for the most part is white evangelical pastors and white priests doing this. That's what I'm taking it as. And what I'm going to say is the evangelical church are a bunch of racists. That's why.
So you're going to say, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you're right. They're a bunch of racists. And you said the 5 justices who overturned Roe was white Catholics. Now, Clarence Thomas, from what I understand from my reading of that, he was raised Catholic. Him and that harpy of a space ghost that he buried after he, divorced his Black wife, she's in a cult, or she was in a cult at one point in time.
Well, she
was in a cult at one point in time.
Yeah. But Gary, anti-choice, the anti-choice, once they're in and the father is Black, they're so for abortion. Paul Presser's so-called pro-life women had abortions. Well, of course, because that's the whole.
Of course.
Yeah, and LaDonna, she is.
For me.
She's crazy. Yeah, she's pretty insane.
They're gonna have, but what we got to look at, they're not just talking about abortion; they're talking about contraception. So that means they're not going to sell condoms.
That's very Catholic in ideology. Contraception thing. That's very And the thing is, we're not. First of all, there's separation of church and state, and secondly, how is that interpreting the Constitution and making sure something's constitutional? Talking about your religion and pushing your. Tell me that, SCOTUS folks. Tell me about how pushing a far right religious. Everybody else has the Constitution. I'd like to know personally. So let me go into. Do you want to say something more? Because I'm going to next go into this summary. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That smut Boebert, and I don't care what nobody say. I think them pictures are of her, and I think she was, selling it, but anyway.
Oh, that lady. Okay, she's the politician. The far right politician.
She said that the religion should be in charge of the government. Now, what were they saying when Obama was president? So you already know what it's about. They're not talking about Muslims. They're not talking about Hindus. They're not talking about Jewish people. They're not even talking about Jewish people. They're not talking about Buddhists. They're talking about straight Christians, the way evangelical Christians, the way they think of what's supposed to happen. You said Miss Seeley's curse worked, Willow? Yes, it does.
Well, let me go into let me go into just really quickly to get us all on the same page. And then we will continue our discussion. I want to quickly summarize what's going on with the Supreme Court of the United States of America. I just want to briefly talk about why overturning Roe v. Wade drastically impacts other laws to be overturned. And it's important that we all understand the significance and what to expect because, well, Clarence Thomas kind of wrote it out for us. So it's, Clarence Thomas, in his concurring opinion to the court's precedent-breaking decision overturning Roe v. Wade and wiping out constitutional protections for abortion rights, said that he would do away with the doctrine of substantive due process. And that word's going to come back to us, substantive due process, and explicitly called on the court to overrule the watershed civil rights ruling in Griswold versus Connecticut, Lawrence versus Texas, and judges. And so I want to talk about that, but this is what he's saying. So what are these cases and what do they have to do with Roe v. Wade? Well, let me explain. Griswold, just really briefly, was a 1965 Supreme Court decision that established the right for married couples to buy and use contraceptives. It became the basis for the right to contraception for all couples a few years later. Lawrence was a 2003 Supreme Court decision that established the right for consenting adults to engage in same-sex intimacy. Okay, it's all about privacy. Okay, it's none of your damn business what I do. Obergefell was the 2015 Supreme Court decision to establish the right for same-sex couples to be married. So to understand why these cases may be looked at, we must understand that substantive due process is a term in constitutional law that essentially allows courts to protect certain rights, even if they are not explicitly enumerated in the Constitution. Okay, so once you pull one, that it's been interpreted in many cases to matters related to privacy, including matters like love, intimacy, sex, which is not explicitly mentioned in the Constitution, obviously, but until now seemed to be protected. Clarence wrote, in future cases, we should reconsider all of the court's substantive due process precedences, including Griswold, Lawrence, and Obergefell, because this is a quote from him, because any substantive due process decision is demonstrably erroneous. We have a duty to correct the error established in these precedents. And because the court, in its ruling Friday, drew heavily on that idea that substantive due process is not in the Constitution, Thomas concluded that almost all the other precedents that rely on the doctrine should be overturned. And here's the strangest part, not to throw people for a loop here. In Friday's opinion, Thomas failed to mention a very significant case, I'm not going to say achoo, that legally marrying someone from another so-called race. He didn't say anything, although he didn't mention Loving versus Virginia, which was the landmark 1967 Supreme Court came down laws prohibiting interracial marriage, supposedly, like we're not the same race. Hello. Hey, this decision relied in part on, and this is according to an article I was reading from the New York Times, is part in due to the process doctrine. And it was cited in several subsequent decisions that did as well, including the Obergefell in 2015. But Thomas, whose wife is white, meaning their interracial marriage could have been deemed illegal in certain states, had the court not ruled in the Loving case, didn't mention it, this decision. And so I thought that was kind of freaking weird. In their own opinions, Justice Samuel Alito and Brett Kavanaugh both referred to Loving, writing that it should not be revised despite its reliance on substantive due process. So I'm wondering, well, what is all this arbitrary stuff going on? Oh my God. Roe recognized the fundamental right to privacy and has served as a basis for so many other rights that we've come to take kind of at least the general population during my lifetime have taken for granted, and they're ingrained in the fabric of this country for people who are in my generation. I'm kind of old, just saying. The right to make the best decisions for your own health, the right to birth control, a married couple's privacy in their bedroom, for God's sakes, the right to marry someone you love. So that is the background on why people are kind of shitting in their britches, because the door has been opened. It's all just kind of weird. would you like to comment? I'll shut
It's
up now.
not weird. It's not weird. I'm gonna tell you why it's not weird. Because this was the end game anyway. Everybody keeps thinking that the end game is that we was all gonna have these little biracial babies, and we was gonna all look like the Smollets, and everything was gonna be happy-go-lucky. It was never intended.
That's evolution. That's just basic science. I mean,
Right. But what I'm saying is the evolution, in this part, we have a part to play in that evolution of how our society is. The fact of the matter is that from what I was reading today, we have stricter rules for women than the Taliban does. So,
this is getting pretty bad.
so my whole thing about it is that we are those people are the American Taliban. And the simple fact of the matter is, like I keep going to, this is about racism. This is about white people's numbers dwindling. It's not about God. It's not about free will. It's not about anything. This is about manifest destiny. We created the United States of America for and by white people. You other people are just visiting. We had no intentions. Let's be clear. You
right.
indigenous people, you First Nations people, we've unalived you to a point where, to be totally honest, I have yet to, excluding being at a powwow or uh, um, an event strictly for First Nations people, I haven't sat in a room with two First Nations people any time in my life. Anytime.
Neither have I.
You
genocide.
Right.
And
You
also
black people, we tried to kill you off. We tried to do all these things to you. We tried to lock you up. We tried to send you back. We tried all of these things. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go, we're gonna up it. We're gonna up it. You understand what I'm saying? You women.
Absolutely.
You women are out of pocket. You want to be president. You want to make more money than me. You're going to tell me beating on you and calling you fat shaming you, that's toxic. We're going to get control over all of this. And that's all it's about. Control. I'm getting small penis energy. That's it. That's what this is about. Small penis energy. So we can sit here and pretend that this is some it's an existential crisis for us. But we can't sit here and pretend and act like white women have not been sitting hand in hand with their disgusting white men doing the disgusting things and profiting and benefiting off of the disgusting things that they did and what their men did.
Well, what we've always talked about on our show is the responsibility that white folks have, because we we caused this, and that we will, and we've learned from history with the pools and everything. I mean, God, the schools and the pools, and it doesn't, you name it, that we will go against our own best interest as white folks as long as we're harming Black and brown people more.
Especially Black women.
Yeah, it's a real crazy thing.
Especially Black women. And the issue is, it's a book called They Were Her Property Too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they talked about all these white women. Now, white women couldn't own property other than.
It was the first time we could own property, and we owned.
We owned other people. Martha Washington was more wealthier than her husband, George Washington, because of the people that she owned. And so at the end of the day, Harriet Tubman, it's a story about Harriet Tubman, that her mistress, her slave owner, terrorist, threw something at her, threw something at another enslaved woman, and she got in the middle and got hit in the back of the head. And she never went to work in the house again, other than, to perpetually being SA, but they were vicious. And so it tells that she never wanted to work in the house, and she didn't like kids. But what I'm saying is you have white women that perpetuated essays of black women so they didn't have to nurse and take care of their own children. And you have white women, the reason why you have the casual killing law. So this thing that's going on has everything to do with white women too.
Yeah, I'm not. And when I say, you know, when I act shocked, it's the exponential nature of how this is all happening. I think that I'm more surprised about. I'm not surprised about the concepts. Oh my God, the concepts have been there always.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the again the exponential. It's like, damn, I didn't think this would be going on in my lifetime. And how there's no accountability at all for all the three branches. And that's what my rant at the beginning was about, is that we're pretty much, if I don't know exactly what the definition of a constitutional crisis is, but when all three branches are completely losing their shit, not following the Constitution or the spirit of the Constitution or the actual, I mean, this is getting ugly. I'm going to say, I think we're kind of there. So
when you write the rules, you can rewrite the rules to benefit you. I wrote, this is my house. I'm writing the rules in this house. If I say you can't eat at 12 o'clock, did I say I can't eat at 12 o'clock?
Right.
This is my house.
Well, we are definitely going backwards, and it's just a little bit like, wow. So right. I don't have a ton more to say other than things are getting ugly. And I am not happy with the conclusion from Biden that we all just need to really get out there and vote. I mean, he's right. We do.
We did go out there and vote. And you got the House, you got the Senate, and you got the presidency, and you still didn't do shite. The fact of the matter is,
not working.
Angry Soccer Mom, he doesn't want to do anything. Joe Biden was in office for 8 years with Obama, didn't do nothing. He was in office for 40 years, didn't do nothing, but be racist. We know that. So at the end of the day, vote for who to do what so you can do nothing again.
Yeah, I'm
not scared anymore. Like, whatever.
Yeah, I feel like we are a witness to the twilight of the democracy, and it seems to be moving exponentially in my mind, at least. And it's kind of scary to me.
If it can be destroyed by the truth, if it can be destroyed by the truth, it should be destroyed. And that's what this thing is about, CRT. Because America knows, first of all, CRT is not even taught in elementary schools. And I know I'm going off on a
right. It's not. The actual definition of CRT is not taught in elementary or even middle school.
If you teach these white children, if you teach, and this is not just the white children, what they're really scared is if you teach the black children, and then they start having self-esteem and not letting you tell them whatever you want to tell them. See, that's what it is.
It all boils down to white supremacy. And we just cannot seem to get us, when I say us, like white folks, seem to take some fucking responsibility. I don't know. We just don't want to. And I understand that there's a huge indoctrination and push to, to not. But it's like, come on, white folks. We're all sitting here watching what's going on, at least a little bit. Some people aren't into anything but their own selves. But I mean, come on. There's that common theme here.
Yeah, but at least I'm not black.
Yeah,
you got to remember that.
It's how we roll. It's how we roll. So
at least I'm not black.
I was going to say, is there any comments that you wanted to say? Because we can wrap it up. I mean,
unless the people want to call in and give us some of their knowledge. But LaDonna is right. Black intelligence is always the issue for them, because if it wasn't, you wouldn't have outlawed reading or outlawed teaching us certain parts of the Bible, or going to school or doing these things, because education and a knowledge of one's history, you can't make that person into a slave.
Knowledge
You can
is power, right?
enslave them.
Mm-hmm. You can
can put them
enslave
in
them, right? But you
bondage.
can't, right?
You can't do it. The same thing with women. Why don't we want women to go to school? Why do we want to make women have babies and be incubators? Because you can't make somebody an underling of yours if they have knowledge of self, they know their history, they know who they are. You can't do it.
Yeah. Well, LaDonna said that, of course, the IRS doesn't believe in a fetus as a person. Well, the biggest thing is fetal personhood, just like they did with making a corporation, have personhood. Citizens United. I mean, once we go there, I mean, there's a lot of places this can go. I don't know. This is not by any means my area of expertise. But I am alive on the planet kind of watching. And as a white person, I feel it's incredibly. I saw a meme, LaDonna, on that, and I was laughing because, well, of course they're not going to give you any, see, they want it both ways. And that just brings me back around to, which it always does, is the white supremacy, and that we as white folks blame the wrong people for all our problems. Black people haven't done a thing to us. Okay, we are the ones that have done to them with oppression, marginalization. Not every single one of us, but pretty much, and
Right.
we blame the wrong people for all our problems, when the wealthiest elites are just basically, they can thank us for our service because we are doing their dirty work for them.
Right.
And
but just like Talanda said about Black Panther, first of all, Black Panther didn't even live in the jungle. That's one thing. Number two, by any scale, by any superhero, Black Panther was the strongest, the wealthiest, and the smartest, even over Iron Man. But the simple fact of the matter is, these dummies don't even understand that even in comic books, we are better than you. You understand what I'm saying? The society had a better social cast. They had better health. And that's the one thing that white people don't want to see, is us make it without you, because you can't make it without me. That's already been proven. White people can't make it without us. They can't. They can't make it without Asians. They can't make it without any person of color. But we can make it without them. And that's what they're afraid of. And like LaDonna said, the level of ignorance in that question is like, I'm gonna tell you, this is what happened to me yesterday. And I literally didn't sleep yesterday.
you're talking about, just really fast, the question of what Talanda's husband said.
No, her husband, his co-worker asked.
Not her husband. Excuse me, T. Your husband's coworker. Is that what you're referring to? Okay, I just want to make sure.
Right.
Okay, got it. Sorry to interrupt you.
Right. Yeah. But that's what I was going to. So yesterday, I came from school. I was nicely dressed, had my heels on and everything. So I go into the pool thing. Here we go with these goddamn pools and white women. So I'm waiting, or whatever the case may be, and they come behind me. So I was waiting around, and I was like, I'm trying to get a pool pass, or whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. And she looks at me, she said, "You have to live here." And I said, "I do live here." Like, I had my mask on, but I know she could see my face, like, and I don't know how I said it, but I know I said it to which made her back up from me.
Oh, okay.
Because I turned around and looked, I was like, "I do live here." And as soon as I said that, the guy came from the back and was like, "Oh, I'll go get you some help." And in that moment, I knew what it was. Mm-hmm. I knew what it was, but it was still like, bitch, what are you talking about?
How
I do live here. And then she said, And she caught herself. She was like, your owners. Your owners. And then my thought was, bitch, I own 2 houses. What are you talking about? Why do you think why don't you mind your business? But even
white supremacy was kind of exuding, for showing.
and then the Hispanic lady was like, she was like, oh, just talk to Cindy. Because everybody sitting there knew what she was doing.
Everyone knew
Everybody knew what she was implying. Exactly. And they didn't let it just happen. It was like, yeah, Talanda, she said your owners. And I was like, you know how you just be like, I know this bitch didn't just say that to me. Now, when I go,
that's a classic cliche. I mean, that's classic. Oh my God. Sorry that happened.
And so me,
that's terrible.
I'm gonna make sure me and my beautiful melanated butt that she doesn't have, and my 2 white children are gonna be up in that pool. That's what we're gonna do. If it's just on purpose to let you bastards know. Well, and I dare one of you to come up to me.
The pool thing is just historical, and it's sick as hell. Sick.
And I don't even like going to the pool. I don't even like.
You do now.
I'm gonna go on fight.
Oh, I hear you. That's a terrible thing to happen. And this is how just I'm really sorry that happened.
And literally, like when you know, when you're in something like that, you think you're gonna react a different way. But I was just like, do you know how black I am? I didn't even have my head wrap on. I just had my short hair. So I'm like, does she know how black I am? I'm like uber black. Why are you showing? You know what I'm saying? But I also knew that in that I had to maneuver a different way. Like, okay, white lady, all of these people in here know that you're being racist, and you knew that you was being racist too, because she went to say, oh, I'm sorry. Nah, you good. She said that. I'm sorry.
Slipped, you know.
Yeah, she knew what she was saying.
Yeah.
But I want them. I want. Anytime we out, I'm gonna go to the pool on purpose.
What is it with pools? My God, it's so weird.
But this is my whole thing. In order for you to even get to where the pool is, you have to come into the community. So who is driving through the community and saying, you know what? There's a pool right there. Let me go see if I can just.
There, but I'm gonna. Yeah. She's bullshit.
Who's
she was doing. To show you that she did. That's terrible. That's a really terrible thing.
Yeah.
That's obnoxious.
Yeah. Like, exactly. Like, I'm uber black. I'm uber black. So I'm like, you really don't even know who you're dealing with, do you? You really don't. But what I'm not gonna do is do that, because I know that's what you want. Because the person that saved her was a Hispanic dude. And the other person that saved her was a Hispanic woman, because they heard when I said, I do live here. It was like that. I know you, but everybody that seen Color Purple, they're gonna know the scene when what was her name? Squeak smacked Oprah Winfrey, and the guy says, good night, y'all, because they already knew what was gonna happen. That she was going to punch that girl in the face. So they already knew when they heard me say, I do live here. And in the tone I said it, that if somebody didn't intercede in that, it was going to be elbows and assholes right then and there with the heels on. But yeah, that's what happened to me, the casual racism that happened to me.
That's
just
terrible.
Yesterday.
That's terrible.
And I was just going there. I was just going there for my kids to be able to go. I wasn't even going there. And it was like, now I'm going to get me an extra black. I'm going to make sure I have a bathing suit that say Black Lives Matter when I roll up in there. Think I'm not.
That's pretty obnoxious.
Yeah, pretty obnoxious. Really obnoxious.
Oh God, I'm so sorry. That's such a horrible, horrible thing.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing it with us. I'm not shocked, but it's because I really adore you. That's a terrible, terrible thing to happen.
I mean, it happens every day. And like I said, Talana, I'm on Amazon today. Black Lives Matter. I want a Black Lives Matter. I'm gonna get a fake afro on purpose. I don't even have an afro. I'm gonna get a fake wig afro and just be sitting up there playing Fear of a Black Planet. Definitely.
Yeah. Well, it's horrible. All right. I'm going to say goodnight to everybody.
All right, love.
Anastassia, thank you so much for tonight. Thank you to everybody. I apologize if we didn't get to your comments. I'm going to go over them later on tomorrow and hopefully subtle. Oh, Simply Tea.
Hey,
yeah, subtle. But even that, it's so cliche. It's like, I want to go, excuse me, are you afraid this is going to get on you and like chase her? I don't know. It's just like, but anyway.
I know Izzy and Liv, I actually buy my umbrellas. I got an umbrella that says, sisters make it happen. I got that. And the thing about it is, like I said, I have a lot of that stuff, but you know, I'm like, okay, I like to bring it out in certain times, but I'm telling you, like tomorrow we're gonna put something because we got the Black Lives Matter flags. I'm about to put my Black Lives Matter flags out right
no
there.
idea who she messed with.
No, she didn't. She didn't. She did. Oh, it's called Black Girl Powerhouse. Look up Black Girl Powerhouse, and I'm telling you, you're gonna love it.
Thank you. And if you feel
all right,
like I do, that it is way past time for white American people to take some racial responsibility, please consider supporting what I do by subscribing, sharing videos, and coming to the live shows and befriending me and Anastassia. All right. Good night, everybody, and we will see
love
you.
Y'all.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Be safe. Getting crazier by the minute.
Yes.
Sad to say. Good night.